All right. Cool. So now in terms of scheduling, you're going to see here I have two tabs open. One is actually Devin Park's account. So I'm going to use it as an example when I look at yours. But my account is going to be the main one we're going to look at because I have patients populated and whatnot. Okay. So the first thing here to orient everyone is in Dr. Chrono, you're going to have this main menu bar, this black bar here, which will always be there no matter what page you're on. Okay. And everything we're going to talk about today is going to be under the schedule section. So the first thing we do here, go to the calendar. This will be generally the first page you see when you log into your Dr. Chrono account at the beginning of the day. And starting from the left side, obviously we have a calendar widget here. I think everyone would be pretty familiar. You could look at any month or year or any combination thereof. Just clicking on the day would load it. You can see. Okay. Now, if you need to get back to today's date, to the right of the calendar across the top here, you can see these little buttons. You have that today icon. You also have a refresh. All right. So if I hit today, go back to today's date, you can see here, there's my appointments. Now, below this, you're going to see that below the calendar widget, you're going to see there's the doctors and offices. This is probably one of the most important things I'm going to cover in the session because it's one of the most commonly misconstrued items, I would say. So when you're checking off a doctor's name, you're going to see their schedule. So right now I'm only seeing my second provider schedule and he has no appointments for today. But if I were to select my primary doctor of Remington, you can see I have 2 appointments listed. Now you also notice below this, you have the offices. So in your Dr. Chrono account, you can have multiple offices. There's no extra charge for having more than one office. You can have as many as you'd like. The same thing applies as you do the doctors here. So Remington Wu 1 here could have appointments in office, primary office and the Mountain View office. So if you wanted to see both, you would have to select both. The schedule would reload, and you can see here, it say exam 1 through 4, and then the primary office in parentheses, and then in my second office, it'll say the Mountain View in this view here. All right, but point being, in order to look at part of the schedule, you have to make sure that doctor's name is selected along with the corresponding office.
Remington, this is Sam. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't use exam numbers when we schedule patients. What does that mean to us?
Well, it doesn't mean that much to you. It's mainly, you can use an exam room, quote unquote, however kind of you would like to. So as you can see here, also you can adjust it by the view in the top right. So if you wanted to look at the schedule by doctor, for example, you could hit the doctor icon and then it would put each doctor's schedule in a column for that day.
That's probably what we're going to be looking at mostly.
Yeah, so I'll stick to this one for right now to get you more acclimated to it. But you have different options. You have the daily view, which is just everyone, all the doctors in one column, which I would not recommend for a clinic your size. You have the doctors. You can also do a weekly or monthly view. Okay. All right, now, in order to actually create an appointment, you can do it 2 ways from here. First way, you can look at the column and you see there's time slots on the left-hand side. So let's say we'll make something for noon here. All I have to do is click with my mouse and it'll bring up the appointment details screen. Now, if this is an existing patient, all you have to do here under the patient is start typing. Right, you'll see the name starts to auto-populate and you can select the name. Now, if it is a new patient, you see there's 2 ways we can add new patients from here. First one here is under type across the top. New patient, we're going to check this box. Oh, excuse me, I actually need to start that over. Okay, we hit new patient. You see how there's this extra option here that displays? So basic info and contact. We can just put in a date of birth, type in all their information, and you can say add, which you'll then see here will populate the name directly into the patient field. So that's the quickest way to add a patient. Now you have another way, which is directly next to the patient name field. You have this green plus sign, and that will take you to the a more detailed patient add. So like you could add ethnicity, address, things of that nature. But I prefer this way that I just showed you because I hit new patient. The patient name will go here. And then if you wanted to get more detail, you could just hit this orange icon, this little pencil icon to the right of the name, edit patient, which will take you directly to the patient's chart where you can enter all their information as well.
Remington, we can also add a new patient outside of the appointment prompt stuff, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So if you go to the, I don't know if you saw what I just did. If you go to the patients and then patient list, you're going to see that option here, add new patient.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we're going to go create a new appointment here. I'm going to use Elmer. All right, so then you have reason for visit, pretty self-explanatory. The scheduled date and time. Now, will already have been populated based on the time that you selected. You can change the duration here. Actually, let's do this. 90 minutes. This notes field, this is an appointment notes field. So the notes made here would stick with this appointment, not the patient. If you wanted to make notes about the patient, all you'd have to do is go to edit patient here, and there's a notes field there, which would be like a full kind of time history of all the information you added.
How do you add the insurance?
Well, I had a question for that. You said on the scheduled date. Now, a lot of times we have to put the patient in first before we can actually schedule them in the schedule. So this is kind of backwards of what Athena is, because Athena, we actually, in order for a brand new patient, we have to enter all their information and then we go and schedule them. So we don't have to do that?
No, you don't have to enter all their information.
Just do a quick like that and then schedule, or
yeah, you could do it. Well, you could do. We have the ability to do either way, right? So here I'll show you. So remember I showed you the patient list. So let's say you wanted to create the entire patient before you even got to the calendar. So let's schedule something. Well, we could just go and add a new patient here. And you see this is the more detailed ad here. So you have important.
And that's where we add the insurance.
The demographics.
Right. Then you have the insurance option here.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to use the check-in app on the kiosk, that will be another way the patient themselves can add their insurance info, or at the very least, pictures of their insurance card. So that'll be, and then we're going to cover that in a separate training, but there's going to be different, essentially, there's multiple ways to do the same activity in our system. And I'm going to try and show you, a couple of them so you can kind of find which one you'll be more comfortable with. All right. But yes, if you wanted to stick to kind of how you do it with Athena, you could do it here. Just go to the patient list and add new patient. I think, if for expedience sake, I think if you just do a quick add using this new patient option up here, right? And then if you need to add more, you just hit this edit patient. It'll take you to their demographics, and then you can enter in their insurance and all that good stuff.
Will it stop you from making duplicates? Like if somebody's already in there with the same birth date, will it kind of throw you a little red flag like this person may already exist or anything like that?
That's a good question. No, it will. So I'm going to show you, actually. We go here to important. So we have no name. I'm going to show you exactly what happens, which is where you have to be careful. Last name. So as you already saw, I have an Elmer Fudd in my system already. There's no warning when I have a patient with the same name. So what we always do first is when you're making an appointment, that's why we use this. If I start typing here, Elmer, I can see that Elmer Fudd and then the date of birth exists already. So I could just select him rather than creating it new. But when you're adding a new patient, it won't give you a warning because there's multiple situations where, a lot of people have the same name or use the same first name or things like that.
Are we able to delete? Go ahead.
Okay, that's actually exactly the next thing I was going to say. You're not able to delete, but you can go to the patient's chart and you see here under status, you can make it inactive. In which case, whenever you search for that name, so Elmer, it would not show that Elmer that you've made inactive. It would be hidden from view. You do get a warning here. You see it says potential duplicate patient found, but there's no warning down here. Do you see that warning right here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you will not get that warning when you use this option up here under that new patient. That's the quick add, right? So that's probably where you would create the most duplicates because you're doing it from here, or excuse me, this one, you will get that warning. Okay. I think someone else asked me a question before we got into this. Did we cover everything or should I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. Okay, great. So like I said, from here in the appointment details screen, you have the notes and then you have consent forms. So through use of appointment profiles, these can already be populated for you, or you can manually assign them. So you see here, you just click in the field. Right now, I only have one in my account, but I could select it, and then the consent form would be added to this appointment. So if they were to go and use the check-in app, they would have to sign whichever forms I had added. All right. Now, from here, you can also select office, change the office if you wanted to. You also have profile here. This is selecting which appointment profile type. So I'm just going to show you a key thing here. So you notice the reason for visit here right now is elbow pain, and the duration is 90 minutes, and the color is this purple. If I were to go in here and change it to, let's say, a new patient's, the reason for visit has changed to new patient, duration is now 30 minutes, and the color is purple. So obviously the concept behind the profiles is ease of use for your front desk, less manual data entry, and just, more expedient appointment taking. Right. Then we can do exam rooms. You can set which exam room this will be in. Oh, and I actually forgot here at the top. You see how it says provider? So you can manually change it to a different provider if you'd like. Now where this came from, if you'll actually notice, I'm going to save and close this real quick. Because I'm in the doctor view right now, and I clicked into the column for Remington Wu, this first one, that's what it took as the provider I was scheduling for. If I go click here in Remington Wu 2, you'll notice that's the provider it's set for. All right, so back to this one. Then we have the color. You can manually change the color of the appointment if you'd like, or just use the appointment profile types. You can also change the status of the appointment. So everything from arrived through complete, confirmed, etc. There is a visual representation on the schedule. So if I set this to arrived and I save and close this, sorry, I think my screen share is slowing my computer down. Yeah, so there'll be a little icon, there you go, that little A, so it's showing that it's arrived. And each different status has a different visual representation on the calendar.
Remington, now, if someone else is obviously looking at the schedule on their computer, does it auto update, or do they have to refresh every once in a while? Or
it'll auto update, but it takes some time. It's not like instantaneous, so it might be like 5 to 10 minutes. So if they want to make sure that they're looking at the most up to date, they can just hit the refresh here.
All the time.
Well, okay, so if someone else creates an appointment, so let me rephrase that. If you create an appointment, that is more of an instantaneous thing you'll see, but you will need to refresh to see appointment options and things like that. So yes, I would.
Different things like
yeah, exactly. I would definitely. It doesn't take long. It doesn't actually reload the page when you refresh. I don't know if you can notice. It's just reloading the calendar. So it's not. I definitely recommend refreshing when you can. And the same thing on the iPad. When you're using our iPad app, you can just pull down on the list and it'll refresh. And I'll show you guys that when we get there. Okay, good. So next thing, so that's all the appointment details information. We go down here. We can also make this a recurring appointment. So if you have someone who comes in, let's say every Monday at 12 p.m. for the next 4 weeks, you could turn it into a recurring appointment. You can arrange a follow-up reminder. And this is just an email or message that will remind them to make an appointment around a certain date. And then you have active reminders. So these are actual reminders for this current appointment. So just like appointment profiles, you can create reminder profiles and then use them here. Okay. Oh, that one's not populated. Okay. So I select this one, and this is my text message reminder. And you can see what it's going to be. It's a text message 24 hours before the appointment. And you can add custom messages to it as well. Okay. Now, you can add your own custom ones on the fly. Let's say this is someone who's generally late, and you're like, oh, I need to add more. You see there's this new reminder button below, and you can add as many as you'd like.
We all laugh.
Right? And each one of these you can do email, text message, or phone call.
Do you have to select that every time, or will it just, if you don't go through that process, it'll just automatically do it anyway?
Good question. So,
As a default,
like, is it,
text or call.
yeah,
so when you're manually adding them on the appointment here, it's going to default to email, as you
Okay.
can see. But that's why people use the reminder profiles, right? So like here, I have a chronically late one. I've already built these reminders for this type. Yeah, and obviously I'm got overzealous in doing it. But you see here, this is what I built at one time, and I can just use the profile whenever I need to. So you could have like a general reminder profile. You could have email only or text only, or things of that nature.
so you do select it every time you're adding an appointment?
Yes, but you can also do
You have
this.
to choose something from the drop down.
Right. Yes, but once you've used it once, we can also the next time use patient's last reminders, which will then for every appointment from there on, we'll use that profile you had selected originally until you override it.
Great.
Cool. Good. So any questions so far before I continue? Okay, great. So now a couple of things I want to point out. Across the top, you're going to see there's these little statements here, these little warning flags. So when there's key demographics information missing, there's going to be a warning flag. And all the system generated, meaning things like that, where key demographics are missing or the patient has an outstanding balance, you're going to see in this color, this red with a darker red text. So it's going to tell you missing patient address. Here's the current balance they have on their account. And then you can have a link to generate the statement directly from there as well. Okay. Now these ones to the right of that, chronically late and deductible owed, these are custom flags. So you have the ability to create flag types and then attach them to a patient. So whenever someone goes to look at that patient, whether it's from the appointment screen or it's on the patient chart, they will see these flags. So if someone's diabetic or if someone's allergic to latex or all these things, you could do any kind of flag you want, name it however you'd like, and add it to whatever patient you wanted.
Would that be where you'd add the MVA and SAFE and things like that? Workman's comp, can you put that up there?
Sure, if you want, again, you can do anything you want there. You can title them however you'd like.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to show you how to create these, and actually I'll show them how to create right now. So if you're actually trying to create flags for use in the clinic, you go to patients and then patient flags here. Right. Now these are my active patient flag types. And these are the archived one. But if we want to add a new one, I just go up here, add a new patient flag. Give it a name. Give it a color. And create. Okay, so now I just added the flag to be used in the clinic. Now I do need to refresh this because I just created a new type. Oops, wrong patient. There we go. All right, so then you see across the top, these are different options you have for this appointment. So I'm going to skip ahead to the flag one real quick. Click on flags. You can add a flag to the patient or to just this appointment. Right now I'm going to add it to the patient. Choose a flag type, latex allergy. You can put a custom description here as well. What does it say? Oh no. Okay. Hit save. All right, now the flag's been added. So if I go back to the appointment, you can see the latex allergy and my little description I added. All right. Any questions about flags?
What if you want to take it off of there? Like, what you were trying to get across is taken care of?
Not a problem. There's multiple ways to do it, but from where we are right now, from the appointment, you see, just go back to this flag section, and you see there's an archive. Or you can edit the text that's in there. So I'll archive this latex one, and it's been removed.
For ones where they owe money, for example, like that deductible owed one,
Mm-hmm.
if they paid that $2, does the person who accepted that payment have to go in there and manually remove it themselves?
That's correct. So if it's something about money, flags is all manual entry information. No, it doesn't pull from anywhere else. But that's why also we have that statement balance. This is automatically updated.
No, not what he's saying. He's saying we have to manually go in and remove it.
Because it was a flag. It's a flag, and those are all manually adjusted.
Right. Flags are all manually adjusted. There's no auto adjusting of a flag. So, the deductible owed one, that's just an example that I give some people. Some people like it, some people don't. Totally up to you how you use it.
Great.
Okay, great. So moving on. From the appointment, you also have this billing tab here. Now, we're going to do a full billing training with all of your billers, but I'm going to take this from the point of view of like what a front desk would maybe need to interact with. Once you're here, the key things I'm going to point out from this screen is this patient payment right here, this third option. So if someone's giving a cash payment, this is where you can record it. So we can say $100, then select what type it is, say Amex. Now, we've entered a payment. We need to save it down at the bottom, and it'll generate a receipt. There's a receipt button now. Click it, and you can then print it out and give it to the patient or email it to them if you'd like. All right. And if we go back here, you'll see my balance previously was $1,015. Now it's $915. So that's a key one there. If they would like to, so similar to how we have appointment profiles, we also have billing profiles. So I'm not sure how your billing setup is or who selects, inputs codes. If it's someone who interacts with the schedule a lot, they could also select a billing profile, which is same thing concept to the appointment profile. You have a set items of data. So in this case, billing codes attached to a certain profile. And whenever you use the profile, it would then add the codes to that appointment. You can still manually delete them. So if I want to remove this one, remove that, I can remove this, just with a little X mark. You can also adjust the price here. Now, when I change the price, this doesn't change the fee schedule. It's just saying for this appointment, the price is X for this one time. Okay, any questions on this screen so far? All right, you also have the ability to generate a super bill here for that appointment. So it's just show you all the diagnosis and treatment codes that were used in any payments. All right, next thing over, you have vitals. If front desk, your nurses, if they're doing it on a laptop or a computer, they can take vitals here as well, though they will probably be doing it mainly when they're in the charting section. But all they'd have to do is enter the values here. There, you'll notice on this page, there's no save button. Every time you enter a value and then you tab or move out of that field, so let's say I hit 100, and I click out, you see now it's green. It automatically is saving every time you record something. If there's something here we don't have, we can also create custom vitals. So for example, I wanted to record the temperature at the time of the visit at the very beginning. And then under custom vitals, I created a temperature after the visit. So after the visit, let's say it went down. 0. Okay. Revisions, next one over here. If anything has been changed with the clinical note, you'll be able to see a history of who and what changed it, what was changed by clicking into the revision. All right, eligibility. This is the one that front desk will most likely be using, or billing, depending on who's doing eligibility checks. But if the patient has insurance information in their chart, you can then select a service type. So we'll just say that one for example, and we'll hit check primary eligibility, which is primary insurance, and then it'll list the benefits covered below. So if it's 90% coverage or 10 visits at this cost, it'll tell you that information. Now, one thing I'll say about this, it is not always 100% accurate. What it does is it checks the insurance ID against the payer's website. And sometimes the payer's websites are not up to date. So if it says there's no coverage or very bad coverage and the patient's like, no, that's not true, I would still recommend calling the insurance company to check. All right, and then custom data fields. So again, if there's some kind of fields that we don't have in our system that is data you'd like to record, you can create custom fields, add a field here. So like this was made for one of our mobile nurse practitioner practices, and they wanted to track the mileage, for example. So we've created a custom field for them. All right, and then we have communication log. Here, if you would like, again, you don't have to use this, you can record your phone calls to patients. So if there's something, not record, you can write down what happened. So title, phone call, you can say deductible, talked about the deductible. If you charge them on the phone, what type of communication this was, we can say call, how long it was, 10 minutes, and then you can do a full note here. And then log it. And then you'll be able to see a running history of everyone who's talked to them and about what. Okay, so.
Just about that, Remington, Sam, can you go back to that screen on the message? Yeah. So if I wanted to send that note to Kayla, is that what assigned task is for?
Yes, you could do that. So based off this phone call, you could say, click assign task, give it a title, Kayla to do, assign it to her, right? We'll say it to my staff. Then there's a status for the workflow of the task. Say open, and then you can add a more custom message, Kayla, and then hit save, and I would assign the task to her account.
But it wouldn't notify her on her account, like through a bucket or like a message?
So there's no message currently. We just had a huge meeting about we're doing a big update to our task system that's going to come out in the next month or so. But you see here, this tasks. This is where tasks are handled. You see there's a red 4.
Yeah.
That's where people can see. They would just click into the tasks, and then they would see all the tasks assigned to them. So as the number goes up or down, depending on who's assigned what and how many you finished.
Well, so how does the task get assigned?
Just how I showed you before from that last screen. So I'll show you again. So when I hit new task here, assign this task to this field. This will be a drop down. It'll be all the providers and staff in the clinic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
no worries.
Remington, I have a question about tasks. Could you go back to the Kayla to do one?
I actually cannot. How it works is when you assign a task, it goes to that person's account who it's been assigned to. I can show you the ones that have been assigned to me.
Or could we create another one real quick?
Sure.
What if I want to update that task? What if I get new information?
That's part of the update you'll be seeing very shortly.
You would just create another task and maybe update the information for that last task?
Yes, you could do that. So you please disregard the other task. Use, here's update information or something like that.
So when you went to the task, we made that Kayla to do one, Remington.
Uh-huh.
There's an edit button. Can anybody edit that task? Or just
here, let me go back. I know what you're talking about, but it's only accessible from the calendar view.
And sort of as a follow-up question to that is, if somebody else does edit it, if that's possible, does it say who last edited the task?
Yes, there'll be like an audit log for it. So you see here, because I created a task, it now says open task instead of assign.
Yeah.
So I can view it, and then there's an audit log here.
Okay.
Oh, you can't see
And
that.
anybody can edit that task.
Right, anyone can add a note here. So, right, and then you see that information below. But that's because it's connected to a communication log in the patient. And you see there's also a link directly to view the patient it's associated with.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. And that about covers the calendar. There's a couple little options, like you can print your appointment report if needed. I showed you the refresh, and yeah, any questions on the calendar otherwise? Okay, great. So I'm going to show you a couple key things here. I'm not going to go through every single one of these. I'm going to show you the ones that I think everyone should start working on now. Right, so the next one we're talking about is the availability search. This is pretty self-explanatory. Rather than looking at the calendar yourself, you can actually search for available times and dates over a given time period. So we could say, select a certain week, let's say the first week of April, and it's going to look between these dates. We'll say we want a 12 p.m. slot. And you could also search by profile if you wanted to, or by a specific room. And you'll see here the office and doctors available. So we're going to search for Remington Wu's availability, and we hit find, and it'll then show me all the available slots below here, and I can just schedule the appointment really quickly. Okay. You can obviously search for multiple doctors at the same time as well. All right. Okay, moving on, we're going to go appointment profiles. Sam, I saw you sent me the full list. I'm actually going to be creating a couple for you to help start up, but I want to show you guys how to create your own as well. So from this page, you just go to add a new profile in the top right. The screen will pop up, and we can do, give it a title, choose the color, reason for visit, say that, set the duration. Now, you can also attach a billing profile to your appointment profile. Now, what happens is whenever you select the whenever you select the appointment profile, if there's a billing one already attached, the moment you select that profile, all of the billing codes will also get attached to the appointment. So it's kind of like a cascading effect, right? So I select the appointment profile, it gives me the reasons for visit, it gives me the duration, the color, but it also gives me, because I have a billing profile attached, all the billing codes that go in. You can also choose to not select one if you want. So we'll just keep it blank for now. You can also have different, so you could have a pain assessment for insurance, and you can have a pain assessment for a cash visit. And you can select that payment profile type here. So we'll say this one's cash, for example.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you're using your mouse to go between the fields. Are there keyboard commands like enter, and then you could select cash by just using the keyboard if you need shortcuts?
Yeah, so you see what I'm doing here? Part of it though, like when you get into this color wheel, it's not going to be very happy with that using the keyboard. But the rest of it, I'm just like tabbing through. I don't know if you can see that. Where my cursor is. So yes, but it's not fully optimized for that, I would say.
Okay.
All right, and then if you want patients to be able to schedule this appointment type online, you just hit enable for online scheduling, this checkbox here. And if you also remember from the schedule, I said the appointment profile could say what consent forms were to be attached. You would select that here by checking the box and then selecting the relevant consent forms. You can have as many or as few as you'd like. So you can have 10 consent forms for one appointment type if you wanted, or 0. Now I'm going to hit create. And we'll see it here at the bottom. And from this view, you can obviously see it gives you a snapshot of what each of your appointment profiles are. You can also rearrange them. So there's a drag and drop on the left. So if you want to put it alphabetical or by usage, so my most used profiles are at the top, for example, you can just drag them around. And then obviously, if you ever want to delete it, you have archive on the right-hand side, or edit something about the profile, and you see the history, which is an audit log report of that appointment profile type.
Can you bring back old archived ones? Unarchive them?
Yes, you can. Let's get this loaded. So here, I'll hit archive here. All right, you see this other option here, show archive profiles? If I hit that, then I can see them here, and then unarchive on the right.
On those profiles, Remington, can anybody edit those at any point, or would people that have different credentialing be able to not have access to that like function?
Yes, through use of permissions, we can.
Perfect.
Yes, we can make
Okay.
certain people edit and others not.
Okay.
All right, appointment profiles, is that all clear? Any other questions? Okay, great. So next we're gonna go to appointment templates. I'm gonna do this twofold. I'm gonna show you a look at my schedule and the actual templates. So this is what the template screen looks like. So the purpose of them, as you can see here, I'm saying for this first one, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, starting at 8 a.m. for a duration of 240 minutes, I want this appointment profile to be used in this exam room. All right, so let me go to my schedule. So this here, this is an appointment template. See this yellow area or whatever color that is? And what happens is you're kind of demarcating this room in this time slot for a certain type of visit. So let's say if you did surgeries in room 3 every Thursday for 5 hours, you could, if you wanted to denote that on the schedule, you could do it this way. And then every time you click in to this to create an appointment, it's already using that appointment profile. Now, you can still override it if you like, if you want to make it a different profile, but it's just another way of kind of hopefully saving time for you. Does that make sense for the templates?
Yep.
So you add template, you just select which office, which room, and then which days of the week, start time, and then duration, which will always be in the amount of minutes, and then which profile. Okay, good. So next thing I'm going to show you is billing profiles.
Let me stop for a second and just.
Sure.
Plans. So I sent Remington and Kayla, I sent you guys that email Monday, I think, to start thinking about the ones that you want to bring into the new system and create there. So if you feel comfortable that you can start creating them and train other people to help you. It's pretty straightforward.
Can't we do like a snapshot of what we currently have in Athena? Because I know you can pull it by department.
If you want everything in Athena, I would just caution you, don't pull anything that you don't use.
Well, yeah, no, I just thought we know we don't miss anything.
In Remington, is it okay that we go ahead and start setting all those up?
Absolutely. Yep.
I know it's happening.
Okay, homework. Not homework, but just remember yours. That is everything.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last thing if it was directed at me.
No, you're good.
Okay.
We're ready to move.
Perfect. So now we're showing here, again, under schedule, we're at billing profiles. Very similar thing. You can see the profile name and what codes are attached to it currently. So you can do any combination of ICD, CPT, HCPCS, and your own custom codes that you create in Dr. Chrono. So like, a lot of cash visits are done as custom codes. Right? Now in order to add a new profile, up in the top right, get this screen, we'll give it a name. No idea if that's the right one. And then we do CPT codes. You can search by the code number or by the code description. I didn't know, I couldn't believe it was a real one either. Then you do same thing for CPT. You can do code number or code description. Same thing for custom procedures. You can add them there. Okay. Then we hit create. And I have my neurosurgery one here. And you can hover over the code and it'll show you what the description is. Right? And again, you can also reorder these on the left. Any questions on this one? No? Okay, good. Next thing I'm going to show you.
I do have a question for the staff.
Mhm.
So as far as setting up those billing codes by appointment type, who's gonna do that? And are you guys familiar, are the inmates familiar enough? So that's going to be probably Jackie, you would think? Okay. Since we were doing scheduling, I didn't have Jackie come to this, so we may need to go over that again, but I think I can handle it. And Dora left. When she comes back in, I may have you go through that again.
Yep, no problem. Okay, good. Next thing we're going to go over reminder profiles. So if you saw from the schedule, again, it's the same concept, right? We're trying to save you guys as much time as we can. So if we're taking common things you build or use, and we're putting them in a profile. So if I want to go to new profile on the top right, we can call this Neurospine general reminder. Then I hit new reminder, and I can select what I want this to be. So maybe I want to do an email 2 days before, and then I want a phone call. You could also do 24 hours before. I'm just trying to show you the different, you can use days, hours, minutes, weeks, however you'd like to. And then the final reminder, we could do a text message 1 hour before. Right? So this is a profile now that I can use whenever I wanted to, just by hitting save.
So when do you set up so if we do a phone call, is there a voicemail or a voice message that we have to record that it'll grab and pull the patient's name into that message, automatically do it every time the calendar comes up and says do it? Or is there something we have to do every day to tell it to send the reminders?
Good questions. So I'll answer that in 2 parts. The first thing is, no, you do not have to record your own, message recording for it. It's an automated machine voice, and it inputs the patient's name and the doctor's name and the time of the visit. So it'll say you have a visit with Devin Parks at 12 p.m. on March 31st. Right? So that will all be built for us. Now, in terms of telling it to go when the reminders go out, as soon as you assign this reminder profile to an appointment, it looks at the time of the appointment, and all of this is done automatically. And it will say, okay, at 2 days before, it's going to send this email for that appointment to that patient. No, you don't have to manually push anything out. We do it on our end automatically.
Can we adjust that message at all?
Good. So you can adjust the email and the text message. You cannot adjust the phone call. And you'll notice here on the right-hand side, let's say I'm going to preview the email. So this is what the email generally will look like. It's St. John Doe is just an example, right? And it's using my account information. So you have an appointment with Remington Wu on this time and date. And if you want to add something to it, you click edit here. And then you can say, right, whatever you'd like. And then we can preview it again. And that's where my custom message is. All of your custom messages will always be at the bottom of our system message. So our system message will come first as priority, and then your custom message will come after.
So Remington, so is that where we would go in and say, please go to the patient portal at this link and fill out your registration, sign the consents that are there, and push them to the portal to let them get as much registration done for us so we don't have to do it?
You could do that. You definitely could. There's a separate training I was going to cover all that on-patient stuff in, but I'll show you a quick way right now. So the best way is once you have them in the system, or you have an appointment, you see this, there's a blue arrow to the right of the name. This is actually, it'll invite the patient to our on-patient portal, right? And that'll send a full introduction email. Please sign in, please create an account, and then it'll connect them automatically to what the appointment they've created with you. So that's the general workflow for that. And in order to send an invite, they have to have one of two things. They have to either have social security number and an email address on file, or date of birth, email address, and phone number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, we need to talk about.
Hey, Remington, do you think you could send us a script of what the actual appointment voice message is?
Yeah, I can round that up for you.
Just so that we kind of know what that says, because oftentimes we'll tell a patient to arrive so many minutes or hours earlier, and I don't know if that's probably not in there.
Got it.
That's why I was wondering if it was something we could edit.
That is not in there, and you do not currently have the ability to edit that. So if there's something like that, you can do it through text or email through these
Sure.
custom messages.
It'd be great to know what that message actually says, if you could
Yeah,
give that to us.
I'll send you the script.
Just the email for survey is more reminder, go to this link to fill out the survey or something. After that,
It's getting to the point where most people have
The voice message.
Remington,
Yes.
is there any way that we can just like delete the time? Like, I know you can't edit each particular appointment reminder over the phone, but if you could just take off the time part, that, because that's what we have right now, is it's kind of up in the air. Is our messaging service says you have an appointment at Neurospine on this date, and not giving them a time.
So you don't want them to have the time?
No.
Correct.
Oh.
With certain procedures, we ask them to check in. We tell them when we make the appointment, we need you here a half an hour early. So if you tell them that time, they're going to come right at their appointment time and say, well, you're reminding me to come at this time. So for certain things like surgery, they check in 2 hours before surgery. So if they have the actual surgery time.
Except though, we get lots of phone calls asking what time their appointment is. I mean, is there a way you could edit around like certain appointments?
Said you can't edit, but I'm wondering if you can just delete the time, saying a time, like leave the date, but no time.
Gotcha. Okay, so I will say this. Right now, there's no ability for you to do that. I can look into having something made for you to do that. I can't promise it, but I'll definitely look into it, and I'll get back to you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Remington, I have one more question about that.
Yeah.
Where it says regards Remington Wu, does it always put regards who it's from or the provider?
It'll say the provider, whichever provider it's from. If you're scheduled with Devin, it'll say regards Devin Parks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if it's scheduled with, I think, what was the other provider, Carmina or Carmen? It'll say regards Carmen.
Okay.
Regards from the provider, like regards.
Right. Yeah. Whoever the appointment is scheduled with.
Okay.
Please bring your positive attitude.
All right.
You can go on.
We got a rowdy bunch. All right. Yeah, and for the profiles, you can obviously have as many reminders as you'd like. So you don't have to be shy. Okay. Any other questions on reminders?
Nope.
Okay, good. There's a couple other things. Like I said, I covered the main tools that you guys are going to need for scheduling. The last thing that is probably going to be necessary is appointment recovery. So if someone ever deletes an appointment by accident and there's data associated with it that you still need or is important, you can either search by the patient name, or it'll give you a running list of all the appointments you've deleted recently, and you can select it on the left. You can do multiple at a time and then hit recover selected appointments, and those will add them back onto the schedule. Just generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, nothing is really fully deleted from our system ever. There are a couple exceptions we'll cover in our next sessions, but you can pretty much recover anything you do. Just have to know where to look.
Are there any quirks of billing for that?
How do you mean?
You delete like a charge of a therapist and you weren't supposed to, and it was supposed to be something else. Could you go back and recover that?
Not in the way that you're describing it. No. You can
Not in the
see,
billing part.
yeah, so like not the billing, when the billing part, you can, that's kind of an exception I was talking about. You can see who deleted what when. You have that ability. There's a full audit log for that. So you can always remember or look at the history to see, oh, they deleted this charge, let's re-add it back if you needed to.
One of the things that we use in Athena a lot is when we have to reschedule an entire day for a provider. And what Athena lets us do is send out a message to all of those patients to call our office to reschedule. Is there something similar to that if we have to redo a whole day?
Well, you could create a group of patients and send an email. There's not a way to generate an automated phone call, but I could create an email list here and I could just list off a bunch of patients. So if I knew who it was, but it won't automatically there's no way to take an entire day to reschedule it. But I could select all the patients here and then type in an email body. Yeah, that's correct. And you can also create email templates. So if that situation comes up a lot, you could have a template for it and then just load the template.
Okay.
All right. So that pretty much covers the scheduling. We have a couple more minutes. So if there's any other questions, you guys feel free to throw them at me.
This is Sam again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more for the group. Remington, you can help me or tell me this is unreasonable. So like, I think the homework for today, and Leslie and Scott, since you're our training coordinators, can you send an email out to the staff? You guys remember, this is like the medical motto. You have to watch one, which you just did. You gotta teach one and do one, or something like that. However that goes, I could have got the order wrong. I wasn't a doctor. But as the super users, you now have to go out to your group and everybody that wasn't here, train them. Like, you guys need to take on Sherry, or you can take Sherry on and train her. But we got to get everybody, and then the two of you to coordinate that list, that checklist, that everybody's done the scheduling training. And if we do this now, I think by the time the crew gets here on June 5th, that we're going to be far ahead of the curve. There's not going to be as much intensive training needed. So what I was thinking is, and this is, we can talk about this, is everybody would go in and schedule 3 patients, so 1 new and 2 established. And they're taking notes. Leslie or Scott, they're going to send you an email about what to do.
Leslie is.
I'm gonna have you today.
Yeah, I also, Sam, I have a homework list, like it's an activity list that I send out after this training with just suggested actions.
Thanks for bailing me out, Remington.
Yeah, no worries.
And can we jump in at any time and go in? We have logins, we can go in and do that? We can just mess around in it?
I can activate everyone. I just need to coordinate with Sam and I think probably Michael and get everyone's. I only have a partial list of all the users, I think, right now. So I would need a full list of all the staff or just super users if you want to start there. But yeah.
Not already?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, as more I'm in there and doing it myself.
What we wanted you guys to do, though, is Michael was going to send it out to the leads. Like, he was going to send it to Laura, and then he was going to send some to me, and send some to Kayla, and you guys, so that you can learn how to do it, you set them up yourself. All the people on this committee, for the most part, not everyone, your privilege profile is going to allow you to do all this stuff, like add new profiles, so that you're not limited. And if we have to go later, once we're implemented, and change some of those profiles, we will. So then Remington, I don't need to worry about creating a homework list. You do that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you mine. I'll send it to you, Sam, and you can, pass it out to everyone else. You can add to whatever you like as well, if you feel like something's missing, or I can, you can tell me to add something. Definitely not. It's a fluid process, so just let me know.
Can I ask
Okay,
a quick question, Remington? This is Leslie. How does the staff access this recording session that we just recorded? Because I think it would be good for the MAs to watch this and other schedulers as well. So how do they access this session?
Absolutely. So I'm going to share this session in what's called a box folder, and I'm going to send it to your IT department and Sam. So it's going to be the raw, IT guys, it's going to be a raw MP3 file. So you can, if you have like your own, you can pass that file around and we can have everyone just view it from the box folder, or you can upload it to your own YouTube channel, like whatever you wanted to do with it, it's going to be yours for distribution.
Okay.
Does everybody's computer allow them to do that? Like, what if they don't have speakers, right? Does everybody have that?
All computers usually have a small internal speaker, but it might not be good enough.
I think we need to set up a training classroom with the laptops. And like, we have 5 or 6 laptops, like, add into the table, just leave them in here. Leslie and Scott, I need you guys to like, just now start coordinating all this training. And the kind of tricky part of the training is it's all done for this week. I did it already. But so remember, Wednesday at 10:30, it's more of the business side. But it's really dictated, the people you invite are dictated by what he's covering. That's why knowing that the clinician's schedule, that's what Kayla and Chris and Remington are here, and some other, I invited Brett because she schedules her study patients. So you gotta look at what the training is for that day and invite based on that. And I think like when it comes to the clinical training, because tomorrow we're doing template building, isn't that right, Remington?
That's correct, yes.
I went in and I invited, I think I picked the clinical group, which got the PAs, all the MAs, and then Kayla and Chris and Remington have to decide who's coming. Not everybody can come. Like Betsy had to leave people at the front desk. Sherry, I guess, whoever else.
Actually, I got coverage today, but we would like to have like this class repeated again for people that were on vacation and.
Let's record it
That's
so they can watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Taylor, she'll be able to go, and that's great, and
Watch it on there.
Laura.
Yeah, and listen, guys, it's totally, I don't mind at all doing this session again. I understand, sometimes having a live person there asking different questions is better. So, if we want to do it again a month from now, or maybe a month before we go live, totally fine.
So if you guys, so Scott and Leslie, if you want to have those training breakout sessions with the computers, you can say, okay, at 10 o'clock on Friday, we're going to do a class on scheduling, and you could have, how many laptops do we have to set up a classroom?
Well, I mean, even if we just, I think it would be, I don't know, if they're all in the same room, it might be more difficult. Like, I mean, we could even just play the downloaded version on the big screen at a certain time so that we can all kind of collaborate maybe. I don't know.
I think that that's needed, but I also think that
It's the one-on-one.
well, I also to let them do one.
Oh, I see, to actually interact with it. Oh, I see.
Do the same homework
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
with the super user.
Okay. As long as it gets done, that's fine.
Some hands-on is what
I
you're
think
really looking
people
for.
are going to learn better, not just by watching, but
Yeah,
actually watching it. Calls. Okay, everybody, let's do
I see
it.
what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
And I've done.
Well, and Scott, you and I can get
Yeah, well.
It ain't my first rodeo. No, it really does. It helps people learn better because you can have somebody like tuning out during this presentation, or it gets distracting or whatever. But if you make them pause and then do one, you're gonna catch on better. It's very common model.
Well, and I don't know if you guys know about my background, but I was a corporate trainer for a couple of years, so we'll get it. I mean, it'll be easy.
We can coordinate laptop setup here then.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
That is absolutely. And then Scott, it's the train-the-trainer model basically. We are now, we're the trainers, and you gotta go out and take it to your staff.
You and I, everything.
The last thing I want to talk about, this is Michael, mostly for you, and Remington, Lou, this is maybe for you as well. What I want to do this week, there's a level of anxiety around the practice that they don't know what's going on. It's coming in 2 months. We're going to have to implement it, and nobody knows. And that means we need to communicate. And what I was trying to figure out, I was talking to Kayla this morning about this. The thing that's starting to sort of keep me up a little bit at night, I'm worrying about, you know, if I'm Dr. Gallo's MA, or Dr. Angelis' MA, or Dr. Moore's MA, and Monday comes, and I've got this patient that we've treated for 5 years. Okay, I've got the patient registered, and that's great. We know what we're doing today, and we're going to enter that information. But if the doctor says, I need to see the notes from the last 3 visits. So we have this Athena encrypted device, right? Well, practically speaking, what can Kayla do with that encrypted device? Can she open up Athena just as if it was in the cloud, or is it going to be different? That I'm not maybe expecting you to know that now, but to find out in very practical terms, based on those 2 questions I emailed you this morning, did you see my questions? Isn't that what you want to know right now? And wouldn't the MAs and providers have a higher level of comfort and confidence if that was in hand right now, so they can know what to expect? It's mystifying to me and keeps me up because I don't really know what a data encrypted device does. You know what I mean? Like how usable is that to me?
Remington, do you know? My understanding is those come in PDFs.
Yes, so that's correct. They come in PDFs, at least from the last couple times I've done it or received from Athena. What I've set up with other people before is you can actually have a Box account that's HIPAA compliant. Box has now offered that as a service to medical offices. So the good thing about it'll be, you know, maybe $20 a month or something, but you can store all of that information, and then the applicable staff in your clinic can have Box accounts, and they can just, the files will come organized.
This Dropbox that you're referring to, or something?
No, it's actual Box. It's called Box.com. It's just a competitor of Dropbox.
Okay. It's a cloud-based system.
Yeah, it's a cloud-based system, so you guys can get into it from anywhere and whenever you need to. Or if you don't want to go the route, you could also have it on a single standalone or, you know, backed up somewhere. But I'll leave that I'll just give that option to your IT guys. They can kind of go how they want from there.
So Michael, that email that I sent you and Marty and Kayla and Christian Remington, answer those questions and let's communicate that to everyone so that we drop the anxiety. People know that, you know, Monday the 5th, when Athena unplugs us from the cloud, it doesn't matter because they can look up John Smith, pain patient that's been coming here for 5 years, and they can enter the new data and look at the old, and the doctor can say, okay, I want that note, that note, that note, or the last 3 notes put into Dr. Chrono, however that happens, scanned or magically wished, or however. But, yeah.
Remington, do you know what those PDFs look like? Is it one PDF per patient?
I've actually seen it both ways from Athena, so I don't actually know if I don't know if it comes from like your request or if it's really arbitrary on their end. The file naming convention is usually pretty sane. Like it's like, you know, name, date of birth, like it'll actually give you enough information in the file name. But like I said, I've seen it both ways.
We can work it out offline, but I think that's really important to answer because I don't, you know, to some degree, Remington's going to be covering Dr. Chrono. These are things like how do we, what was that old system we used? Yeah, how is Athena going to work like Entergy now? Everybody knows how to get something out of Entergy. Well, how do you do that in Athena? That's the question.
Right.
And then
because we won't be able to fax right out of Athena, right?
What?
We won't be able, like, if somebody calls and says, I want chart notes from such and such visit, and we were still using Athena at that time, like with Energy, we have to print it out and then send it. So with Athena holding so many documents, if somebody says, I want their entire medical records sent over, fax to this, then we have to print all of that off and then fax it.
There'll be a way, maybe that's saved into some zip drive thing. But, you know, there is a way to do that because the law makes HIPAA, what is it, meaningful use requires that.
Okay.
It's just, that's a great question because that's what I'm asking right now.
Yeah.
What's that, kind of what, I'm asking Michael and Marty to create the how-to guide out of the Athena encrypted drive. So everybody has a comfort level for questions just like that. Make sense?
Yeah.
I remember you wanted us to ask the question, they just send us a sample of what it looks like.
Yeah. I need you to work with Jay to get that. All right. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Good job.
Thanks, Remington.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before
Bye.
everyone runs off, I sent out an email, and I think everyone